Hey guys, welcome back to the most popular podcast and video series I've ever done, which is my Lost podcast. Everybody has been obsessed with this podcast. It's coming in at least at number 3 on the charts. I have the headphones in still, sorry. Um just crushing it with content that's 18 years old. I am someone who's never seen Lost up until 2 months ago. Lost came out in 2004, currently on season 3. What I was kind of doing is going season by season, but I have a lot to say because I just finished season 3 last night. So you might be like, whoa, wait. All the fans of the I've Never Seen Lost podcast is like, you skipped to season 2. And I had notes for season 2, but I'm just got so worked up and so emotional over last night's episode. So we watched 3 back to back last night to end season 3, and I'm like shook. I'm shook because I also look up spoilers. But I just read spoilers. I don't see spoilers. So I did see this spoiler, actually. I did see this. This was like one of the earlier spoilers I did. I did not Penny's Boat on my Instagram like when I was only like 3 episodes of season 1 in. I was just looking up like things about Lost. And one of the first spoilers I saw, which was like, because it was like 10 shocking moments of Lost, I like watched one of those videos. And this was one of the most shocking moments. And honestly, like, I'm shook. I've never had a more shook moment from a TV show or a movie or in real life for that matter. I literally like couldn't sleep last night. I was like, I have to do an emergency podcast today on this. And we're going to just skip through season 2. I have season 2 notes, but I just feel like whew. Season 3 blew my mind. Season 1, everyone says season 1's the best, but I'm honestly going to say I'm only 3 seasons in. We haven't even seen 1 episode of season 4. We're about to watch that after this. I have to say season 3 was the best. I liked the variety of characters. I liked the change up. We had Juliet, Desmond. We see a little more of Ben. We had to see the others. We have different camp locations. We have, just a lot going on. And then towards the end of season 3, which is what we're going to talk about, this whole episode is really going to be about Charlie's death. Charlie just being an underrated character. If you notice in the background, I never even had a Charlie cardboard cutout. It's not because they didn't make it. They do, and they have it on abc.com. And guess what? I am going to go and get one of them because I actually rush ordered this Drive Shaft shirt and this Drive Shaft mug after this episode because I was just like, what am I even doing? Like, how am I not standing Charlie? Like, I'm telling you, Charlie was the most annoying character to me, aside from Jack and Kate weren't annoying. They just were like, to me, they were just like blah characters. Jack is growing on me. Kate, I'm just like, Kate was like so badass at the beginning. Like, she was a really tough chick, and now she just like screws up, like literally screws up everything. Like, is literally the bait every time. They always catch her. She's always messing like shit up every time, like always. So just those characters are not annoying. They're just kind of like, okay, like. And then Jack's character actually was annoying me again at the end. Like, actually through all of season 3, after he got like released, and at the end when like they showed the flashback or the flash forward rather. This was like our first flash forward, I feel, which was kind of confusing and also kind of silly because I was like, wait, no, it just didn't have the right build up. Okay, so there are spoilers in this. Okay, guys. So Lost. First, well, let's just do an honorable mention real quick. Honorable mention goes to the extras. I am obsessed with watching the extras. We're going to talk all about Charlie. How Charlie kind of is the unsung hero of Lost. Like, he's actually kind of my favorite. Y'all know I started watching because of Saeed, and I love Saeed still. Hurley stole my heart, but like Charlie is not my favorite. And I honestly don't even want to watch anymore if Charlie's not going to be in it, unless they do flashbacks, in the case like it's worth watching for. But next to Charlie is the extras. Well, next to all of them are the extras. The extras on Lost. The extras, first of all, I have a little soft spot in my heart for extras. I was an extra for so many years. And if you guys don't know what extras are background actors, or I think they're called featured talent or something. I don't know. There's all these fancy names now for it. It's really easy. If you want to be on popular TV shows, it's actually really easy to become a background actor or just what else do they call them? Ambiance or I don't know. There's another name to it, but it was super easy. I've been on multiple shows as an extra. I was a featured extra on Modern Family. That's a lot of you guys have seen that episode of me. Okay. I was extras in Amy Winehouse music videos. I've been extras. All American Rejects. There's a ton. I think there was one called Dirt. I don't know. I've been on a lot. I've been on a lot of extra sets. And again, it's super, super easy. Like there's casting websites for this. The biggest one is Central Casting. I think it's still around. Central Casting is a huge one. Like back in the day, you just went down to Burbank, California. Like they took your picture there and they like, you called into a hotline and like every night they'd have jobs for the next day. Like, do you want to work on 2.5 Men was a big one when I was doing it. Just whatever show, you just call in and they're like, do you want to work on this? Do you want to work on this? And it was cool. Like you got booked pretty much like straight from your photo, which is like really cool. And you got to be on a ton of different things. And I think the idea behind being a background actor, for the most part, there are some people who just enjoy being, just like to do it. Either they do it for the paycheck or they just like to get out of the house. I actually was like, I tell Moses all the time, I'm like, we should be extras. Now, extras is kind of like, hopefully they treat them better now because first of all, when I do music videos or any projects or production, mine are obviously not lost standard, but anytime I do music videos, I always like thank the extras. Like if extras are like being into the scene, like I thank them because they have really long hours. Extras usually like are like, okay, hurry up, come to set at 5 a.m. We may not use you till midnight, but we also may not use you at all. You get paid either way. You get to, eat the food, whatever. But it can be a lot. And like back in my day when I was an extra from like 2006 to like 2010 probably. They were like really rude. I did a lot of audience work too, which is like a whole different thing. But they used to would not let you go to the bathroom out of holding. I had to like fake so many like emergencies because I was just like, I have to pee. I have to go. I never really got into it unless I was like featured. Like Modern Family, I had like that featured role where I got to like walk, which is cool. Like that's the other thing. I think that was the hope for a lot of extras is they can be bumped to featured, bumped to talking, bumped to being wet. Like if you get wet, you get a bump in pay, not anything else. A bump in pay. If you talk, if you're doing like some sort of like stunt or something. There was a movie I did with The Rock, which of course got cut. It was called, I want to say it was called Faster. Is that a movie with The Rock? There's a strip club scene with a movie with The Rock, and there was like an ice pick thing, and like a girl had an ice pick or something. I was like in the background, like I got bumped because I was like doing tricks on the pole because the casting was like, can you do tricks on the pole? And I was like, yeah, I can. And I definitely could not, but I was able to flip up around and I still got that bump in pay. But as far as I know, you can't see me in it. I don't know. I think it's called Faster. I'm pretty sure. And there was a couple different ones. I had another one in my head and now I just lost it. There was one called Dirt. I think Courtney Cox was in. I was like one of like Hugh. I was like, it was supposed to be like a Hugh Hefner type, and I was like his girlfriend. Jackass. I got bumped. Not the show Jackass, but the Jackass boys did like a Critics' Choice Awards parody of Inception, and me and Willem, the wonderful drag queen. This was like before RuPaul. This was like this might have been like 2008. We got bumps because we both got lines. I don't know if like Willem might have been booked to be featured. I wasn't. I was booked just to be background, but they bumped me. They're like, do you want to like say a line? So I said a line to like Steve-O. I think it was Steve-O's Dream, and I think I said a line. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I don't know. I think I said a line. Either they cut it and kept it in, or they either cut it, kept it in, or just like I was a featured part in that. I have like screenshots on my like Facebook page from it. So like, yeah, so sometimes I would get bumped and I thought that'd be so cool. Like Modern Family, I was like bumped. I was like, that's really cool. So, I think that's like the goal for a lot of background actors is hoping that they get a line or hoping that they get discovered. You always heard like Kevin Bacon started out as an extra, and like, that makes sense. I feel like back in the day before social media, because like when I was doing this, like I said, 2006, social media was just like, there wasn't any really. I started with like MySpace and that was it. But that was the only way to get seen really, is like, oh, you got to go be an extra. You got to go be on these sets, be around these people. And you always hope that the director would like notice you, or in my case, like, or in a lot of people's cases, sometimes they wish the actors would notice them, and then you get a super famous rich boyfriend or something out of it. I don't know. Whatever you're out for, no shame in anyone's game. I was out for all of it. I was like, okay, I'm going to be discovered by Quentin Tarantino, or okay, I'm going to be... Okay, everything's fine. Okay. Sorry, I cut my drive shaft shirt. Say that 3 times fast. So, yeah. So anyways, all that to say, I am an experienced extra. I've done a lot of extra work. And like I said, sometimes it can be considered like bitch work in my eyes. So that's why I'm always like really cool with my extras. Like, I try and like give them as much pay as we can, because notoriously extras are obviously paid, like, the lowest, but it might be really high now. I mean, back in the day, I think if you were a union, again, this is like 2006. I think you might have gotten like $168 or $48 for the day, which is pretty good. I mean, I was loving it anytime I got booked. And if you go overtime, you get time and a half. And if you get bumped, you could get $500 for, being in the rain or whatever. So yeah, it could be a pretty good gig. It could be, and then the opportunity, obviously, you get to be seen by people and actors and all that stuff. So it could be a good gig. Now, I wonder with Lost, I have a feeling they probably just casted local Hawaii residents to be the background, but they're very diverse, and they're always different. I always thought, like, I heard with the movie, I remember Snakes on the Plane, like the extras got paid because they had to be there every single day, because obviously you have to be in the same seats for a plane movie. But this one is funny because we always are seeing new background actors behind people. We're like, who's that guy? Who's that? And they kind of stand out. Which is like, hey, good for you. You're standing out as a background, as ambiance. I don't know if there's another name for it they call it, but like, it's like, they're kind of like so obvious, and they're just really, I think when you see like the main actors, they're very subtle acting, right? Like subtle acting is good. Obviously, like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, he was very subtle. Yes, you did. She was very, my dog stepped on a bee, like she had a very over the top, and then he was subtle. What makes a better actor? Probably the subtle, right? And I think that's with the main cast. Whenever there's reactions or something to react to, they're subtle. Their eyes might shift. They might just breathe heavy, like subtle. I don't know. I'm not an actor, so I'm not a good actor. Let's just say that. And the background actors are more me, where they're just like, oh my God. They're very over the top. But like I said, I like them. I do think they add a lot to it. There's always a ton of them, and they're always just different. I never seen the same, not to say never seen the same extras, but I'm always like, did they just, like, there was only 42 survivors of the Oceanic Flight 815. I'm like, did they just, are they swapping people out? And then randomly in season 3, we had like 2. They weren't extras. They're like big actors. I looked him up. I can't think of the guy's name, but the guy from like Love Actually, the guy that was like the hot guy from Love Actually, him and his like girl randomly became like featured in the cast, and like Sawyer would always say to them like, who the hell are you? Like, who are you? I guess that was like the joke, because like honestly, where did they come from? Did I show this? I did. Drive Shaft. What's up? So again, they probably were flown to Hawaii to be those, but it's like, where'd you guys come from out of nowhere? And I didn't really get their story arc. They're in season 3. I forgot their names. Literally can't remember. But there was like this weird, like all of a sudden, like these 2 new survivors came in that we had never seen before, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're part of the group now, and all of a sudden, I don't know, whatever. And then they both died by, and I will say, of all the deaths so far, these 2 deaths were like, that was the most, like, I would never want that to happen to me. And that was like, she threw a spider on him because of these diamonds she wanted, and the spider was like a Medusa spider. I don't even know if that's real. Like, and it paralyzes you, basically. It paralyzes you for 8 hours. And so then what she forgot is the scientist was like, oh yeah, they attract other Medusa spiders. I don't know if he created this. I don't know what the spider is, but basically all the Medusa spiders were attracted by that one because she threw it on him, and then they bit her. So then she runs to the beach, becomes paralyzed in front of Sawyer and Hurley, and they're just like, oh damn, they're dead. Like, not thinking like Romeo and Juliet, like they just drink the poison, they'll be alive in 8 hours. They're like, no, they're dead. Let's bury them right away. They bury them so quickly, by the way. I was just like, okay, they bury them so fast. Like, you're paralyzed for 8 hours. Keep that in mind. They buried them before they woke up, or did they? Like, I think as Hurley or someone's throwing the last of the dirt on them, the girl of the couple that got bit by the spider, like her eyes popped open, and then that's it. And then they just died. They're like buried alive. I was like, ah! But also, why didn't he wake up first? Like, if he was bit by the spider first, you think he would have woken up first. I guess different bodies, different things. Like when you come out of plastic surgery. I don't know. I'm talking so fast. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's tone it down a notch for Charlie. So anyways, give it up for the background actors on Lost. Honestly, like they're like stars on their own right. I love watching them. We always are pointing out like, who's that guy? What's that? Oh my God, that person. Because they're just over the top, and I love it. And I love whoever directed these episodes. There's always a different director. Like, I love that they just like go with it. And I love that they show all the extras. Like, they're pretty featured. Like, you do see them. Like I said, when I would do shows, I'd be like in the background, whatever. I mean, I've gotten cut from things, even like a Shane Dawson video. I remember early on, before we were like, well, before we were friends and then not friends, whatever. There was a Christmas music video I was in, and he was playing like a dance game in it. I I forgot what it's called. Anyways, I was cut from that too, but I was there. So I've been cut from like everything like low like that. Not that that's low, but you know what I'm saying? From everything like to a rock movie. But I've been in some, like I said, I have been in some. So yeah. But yeah, if you want to be an extra, I think there's Central Casting, LA Casting, Actors Access. I think those are all still around. And sometimes you can find big roles. I got my role in the Eminem music video as Jessica Simpson. Whoa, that kind of ties in here. Okay, we have an Eminem connection. When I was on Tiger Belly, me and Bobby Lee were like, oh, we worked together before. And I was like, yeah, we have. And that was the Eminem music video. Well, here we are again, okay, with Charlie, aka Dominic Monaghan, who was also in an Eminem video, which I believe was the Eminem video right after mine. I did We Made You, which was kind of a flop, but I still love it. Iconic. It's Eminem, and I played Jessica Simpson. He was Tony Romo, and I got humped by Eminem. It's really good. Check it out. I was 20 years old. Snatch. But I think Charlie did the Love the Way You Lie video with Megan Fox. Like, I think that was the video after, which was like a smash and huge. But so we have that connection here. We love a 5 degrees of separation. So yeah, cool. So let's talk Charlie. So Charlie, oh God, I don't even know his last name. They said it last night. Was it Pacer? I don't know. God, I would suck at this kind of trivia when it's like last names. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, we meet him in the first season. To me, I thought he was like the biggest like actor they casted because he was obviously in the Lord of the Rings movies. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but even I knew like Lord of the Rings was huge. Sean Astin, Eliza Wood, and Billy Boyd. The reason I know that is because Dominic Monaghan does a podcast with him. They're huge, and I always thought like if you're in Lord of the Rings, like you're like it's like Harry. It's actually bigger than Harry Potter. I feel like Harry Potter, they were kids and they kind of like didn't have much place else to go. Obviously, Emma Watson's huge, but okay, whatever. If you're in a big movie like that, you're a big star in my eyes. So I was like, that's crazy. He's doing this TV show because it was after Lord of the Rings and shortly after. So I thought, oh, it'd probably be beneath him. But then I realized, okay, J.J. Abrams did the show, and obviously he's a big time movie guy and stuff, so it makes sense to do this. Plus they had a massive budget, so he's probably like, yeah, give me that coin. But I was like, oh wow, he's like probably the biggest name, and to me he had like the like smallest role, I guess, of all the leads. I mean, not the smallest, but kind of the most insignificant. So I was kind of surprised, but I guess who else would he play, right? Charlie is, short in stature, he's slimmer, and that's kind of the character he played, which was very like couldn't contribute much. Not to say the real life actor couldn't contribute, but his frame and his character. I haven't seen, like I said, I never saw Lord of the Rings, so I don't know how his little hobbit is, like if he's a strong hobbit or what, but this one he's very minimal contribution, which kind of is poetic the way he dies, that he actually gets them off of the island because like he kind of contributed the least. As I mentioned in my season 1 recap though, like about halfway through he kind of redeems himself. He tries to save Jack in the cave, obviously. And he kind of does. He kind of gets him out, but like, a roundabout way. But he kind of is selfish, obviously drug addict, which okay, from one to another, like, you can't help it. When you're a drug addict, you can't help being self-absorbed because that's the life of a drug addict, you know what I mean? And so he was the first episode fiending for sure. Locke tried to help him out, Jack, all this stuff like that, and he ultimately was able to kick it, and he kicked it himself. He kind of took the drugs from Locke after asking for them and shook him out himself. And he did that not once, but twice, either in season 2 it was season 2 where he had the little like Virgin Mary, Mother Mary statues, and he broke them. He's like, nope, I'm not gonna touch the stuff, which is cool. So he kind of was saved by love, in my opinion. He is with Claire. Claire is the prego one off the plane, and she's really pretty. She's Australian. I want to say Charlie is British. So yeah. So she's prego, she has the baby, and it kind of changes Charlie. And I never really like gravitated towards that character. I always kind of didn't like his flashbacks. And again, just it took season 3 to realize like, okay, this is kind of like an underrated bop. Drive Shaft is his band. So he's kind of like this like has-been rock star. Not even has-been, just kind of like a one-hit wonder kind of like band, dissipated, like, whatever. But they have a song called You All Everybody, and it's so good. It's so catchy, and I just really feel like it should have been, like, they should have been more prominent. The music should have been more prominent, and I feel like, I don't know if he's an actual singer or musician, but I feel like his talent should have been more displayed. Because you did see it a little bit, like in flashbacks in London, he's playing guitar and all this stuff like that. Okay. I digress. Let's get into the death of Charlie. Oh my God. So first of all, it's shook. I'm shook because it's a main character. When a main character dies, like Boone, like Shannon, you're just kind of like, wow. But Charlie was pretty significant in like this season. Like he prolific maybe? I don't know. He was very much part of it. Prominent? I don't know. I swear I know English. I'm just like, it's getting late, So I guess I was just more shocked, and also because he's a big name. Not to say like Ian Somerhalder isn't a big name. I don't know if he was at the time. I think that was before Vampire Diaries. And the actress who played Shannon, I personally don't know if she's been in anything before, but I think she was like 20 when she did the show, so I doubt she was like in anything that people would know of. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, you just kill off the pretty young, sort of vapid characters. Okay, that makes sense. But Charlie was kind of A-list and kind of like a prominent character. You know what I didn't look up is, do you think he was asked? Because Mr. Eko, he asked to be killed off. I wonder if Dominic, why did Dominic Monaghan leave Lost? Let's just see if it comes up to that. Or maybe they just wrote his character off. But basically the whole season, it's kind of like Desmond sees Charlie dying. And Charlie's like, so he tries to save him a bunch of times. And then ultimately he's like, we're not going to get off this island. Like, if I save you, like, you have to die. And Charlie's like, okay, because Charlie freaking mans up and wants to save Claire, because he also saw Claire and her son Aaron get on the plane. So this is from Entertainment Weekly. I can totally link this below. This is an interview they had with him. They asked him, how long have you known about Charlie's death? And what was your reaction to the plot twist? We'll just pretend he's here. I wish I had the cardboard cutout, but he says, by the time they go around to telling me, that's more Scottish, isn't it? See you on the other side, brother. By the time they got around to telling me, which was 4 months after I knew about the storyline we were exploring, it was probably one of relief more than anything else. I just wanted to know what was going to happen and set up on an open line of communication. So my initial feeling was one of relief. And then there was a lot of excitement along with that. And then there's a lot of sadness. I mean, you're leaving things that you love. But my overriding fear was one of relief, which is interesting. So he was relieved. So I guess he didn't ask to leave. I guess they just... because it's I always find it interesting about the deaths, because there was another main character and a big actress, Michelle Rodriguez, on the show, and she was quickly killed off, and that was because she had a DUI, and I was like, oh damn, they just and the other actress that played Libby too. So I'm always find that interesting. I'm always like, oh. And then Mr. Eko, he asked to be written off because he had a death in his family. So I just find it interesting. But filming the final scenes, he said the stunts were not quite there. So he did his own stunts in terms of how it's going to drown. So we wrapped at 11 o'clock and ended up having a mini rap party just for the hell of it. Came into work Monday and we filmed. I was in neck deep water from about 1 in the afternoon until about 7:30 at night. No lunch, no breaks. This water was fraught with technical difficulties, but once the water was deep enough that I could submerge myself, we did the scene. I didn't really think too much about it being the end. I just wanted to get it done because I had to leave the next day. I only took a breath once I finished and went home and continued to pack. I was pretty exhausted. So obviously he had something else coming up. Maybe he did ask to be right off. I don't know. So, okay. So his death. So ultimately he's like, Charlie, like he tells him exactly how it happens. He's like, I see you flip the switch and I see you drowning. And he's like, oh shit, okay. So he's like, I'm gonna do it. And he leaves his drive shaft ring behind with his little boy, Aaron. And he's like, I'm gonna go down. And Desmond tries to go down for him. He's like, hits him in the whacks him in the head. He goes, no, I'm going down. So he goes down. There's a lot of it's like a secret hatch. Basically, this underwater hatch is like the thing that was like blocking their communication off the island. So if Charlie were to like undo this like light and unblock the blocked communications, then Jack and the rest of the gang can send the signal and all that stuff, and they would all be saved. And that's ultimately what happened. And it was like I said, even though I seen this scene, like you really thought there were so many outs for him. First you thought he was going to drown underneath the hatch. No, there was air. He came up, whatever. Then there was like these, the others down there, and they were like trying to rough him up, and you're like, oh, he's going to die like this way. Then they're like, no, you need a code. So he's like, oh my God, how the hell is he going to get a code to flip off the switch? There was just a lot of obstacles. And then what was so frustrating about this death too is I feel like it could have been avoided. Obviously the whole thing is fate. You have to die in order to get off this island. Like that was what was written, in the stars, so to speak. And so he flips the switch off, and it just so happens that he's the musician because they said it's to the tune of Good Vibrations. So obviously, you have to be musically inclined to know that passcode. So he flips the switch and everything looks good. Like Desmond's like, yes. And then they're like, okay, well, freaking fate. What? Like that. Okay, maybe your visions were a little blurry. So they see one of the others who they presumed was dead, this Russian guy with the eye patch, and he's like in the little circle submarine window, knocks and shows that there's a grenade, and he's about to throw that grenade, so all the water is going to come flushing in to the hatch. But the hatch is really, really big, and he swam up the hatch. He could easily swim out of the hatch. But what Charlie decides to do, and maybe it's just because he wanted the prophecy to be fulfilled, he closes the door, which doesn't need to be closed. It's open, like, so Desmond can't get in. And just so the water can be filled up. But then, like, the grenade was thrown through like a window, and the window broke. He could have swam out through the window. He could have swam out that big old hatch that he came in. So I was kind of confused why he would close the door. Again, I just gonna assume that like he was trying to fulfill his prophecy, and Desmond's trying to like knock it down to get him out of there. And so right before all this happens, the grenade, all this stuff like that, he flips the switch, he gets a signal, he's talking to someone, and that someone is Penelope, aka Penny, aka Desmond's girlfriend, who was going to propose to, but like got scared, he was threatened like to keep away from all this stuff like that. And sorry, y'all. And basically like just was like, oh shit. So that's where the Not Penny's boat comes in, because the boat that they all thought they were trying to get the signal to, that was 18 miles away, like the diver, the person who like literally flew out of the air and like landed on the island, was like, oh yeah, that's Penelope's boat, like she's looking for Desmond because Penelope's like his rich ass girlfriend that's always trying to find him. And so she's basically like, what? No, like, I don't have a boat 18 miles away. What are you talking about? So then he realized, like, that's not Penny's boat. Writes it on his hand. But it kind of defeats the purpose, because at this point, Jack is already, like, team whatever that boat is, even though it's not Penny's. So obviously there's something there we don't really know. But Ben did try to warn him and be like, that girl's not who she says she is. Just letting you know. And he's like, I don't believe you, because Ben is so good at that. That's why he's so manipulative and so perfect. He'll tell you a truth and he'll tell you a lie. So it's like, what the fuck do you believe? So basically that's kind of how it ended. He kind of like, Charlie starts like drowning and shows not Penny's boat. Desmond's like, what the fuck? So we don't see Desmond get out of the hatch. We don't really even see their rescue. They just are like, yeah, we can come get you guys. Like, no problem. We got your coordinates. So Jack does make the call with the boat. That's not Penny's boat. Said it was Penny's boat, not Penny's boat. So we don't know whose boat that is. They try and get off the island. Locke's pissed about it. He's like, no, we're not supposed to get off the island. Ben, of course, like, no, we're not supposed to get off the island. And Jack's kind of like, fuck you all. Like, we're getting off this island. So, yeah. So that's Charlie's death in a nutshell. I do find it, like, the way it was shot. I mean, it's shot like a freaking movie, which I was assuming why everyone wanted to be a part of this TV show, because it was shot so cool. I did a water music video that was like so heavy into water and like underwater. We did like kind of a Shape of Water thing, like drowning kind of stuff. And it was so much fun. Obviously, that's on such a lower budget scale, but when something's so high budget like this, I would love to know and see behind the scenes of like filming that. And it's intense, because even faking drowning, and this, I had a minimal experience doing this on my water music video. It was a whole Hebrew song I did. It still gives you that feeling of drowning. Like, there was people pushing like oceans, and you had to like pull yourself down, and the sandbags would pull you down and stuff like that. And so you're simulating drowning, which is so fucking scary. And on this level with this much water, I don't know how they do it. I guess you have to like meditate and be in that place, but it's really terrifying. And the scene itself was really terrifying. It was shot amazingly. I was getting so like all the last 2 episodes of the season, they're called Looking Through the Looking Glass 1 and 2. I like couldn't catch my breath. I was just like, everything. And even though I knew what was coming, because I looked up the spoiler, I'm sorry, you shouldn't look up spoilers, but honestly, like, I needed to, because I still didn't prepare me for this. I was just like, like every little thing that happened, and it just was really, really sad. And we haven't seen Claire's reaction to it yet, so there's a lot to unpack. So yeah, trying to keep it under a half hour, but here we are. So ultimately, he had a really good swan song, if you will. He had a really good send-off. Really high budget, high tech death. And it is one that just really hits you, because he had such like character growth, I feel. And I feel like no other character has the character growth of Charlie. he had a lot of dimension, and I don't know if it's the actor, I don't know if it's the writer, a combination of the two, or what it is. But at the beginning, you just didn't really like the guy. Like he was self-absorbed, and he was kind of this like, okay, you're just a junkie, easy to write off, kind of whatever, kind of annoying, kind of in the way, that kind of stuff. But his growth of like saving the entire island and being so humble about it, and not like making it like a known thing. He could have told Claire, he could have done this. He could have been selfish and been like, no, I'm going to stay on this island. I want to live. I don't want to die. Especially drowning. I mean, there were so many other deaths that Desmond saw. I'd be like, give me a different one, because it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It made me cry. It was probably the first death that made me cry. Every death kind of like shakes me up a little, because you're just like, I will say the double shooting of Michelle Rodriguez. I already forgot their names. Michelle Rodriguez's character and the Libby character. That kind of shook me, because I didn't look up those spoilers. Because I when I first started the show, I looked up the deaths of all the main characters. I think I maybe showed like all the deaths of the main characters. So I do know how they all die, which again, it prepares me, because like, emotionally I'm in it. Emotionally I feel like I'm there. Emotionally I feel like I know these people, and so it's like I need to know what's coming, because like I just so when I saw, because at first I saw the hatch, I'm like, that's a big hatch, it doesn't look like that's what he was in. I thought he was in like a submarine, and then of course he closed it, there was like a little window, and I was like, yeah, that's the one. So it's iconic. There's so many iconic parts of it. Season 3 overall was really, really great. It starts off with Jack, Kate, and Sawyer like locked up with the others. That was a really interesting kind of segue off the island. I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, I haven't even watched one season of season 4 yet. We're about to go do that now. I am nervous that this show could jump the shark, you guys. Like, this is on Hulu, by the way. I've been watching it on Hulu. So for those of you who are like, I want to watch this, and for those of you who watch this and like, I have no idea what Lost, has never seen it, but I love your podcast, thank you so much. Because I am being sarcastic when I say everyone asks for this content. No one asks for Lost content. I just do this like purely to hear myself talk this through, because like me and my husband be talking about this like all night, all morning. Like we talked about it at dinner tonight, and we're just like, but this and this. I think it's just like, we're so consumed with it. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm pregnant, so I'm just like, kind of just chilling at home, and I'm just like, like this is like, I feel like part of, because I've never been consumed by shows, but ever since I became pregnant, like Desperate Housewives, I was so consumed with, and now like Lost, I don't know. By the way, if you have any other suggestions for shows I need to see, please let me know, because apparently between 2004 and 2014, I was the real life Charlie. I was just like, in alleyways in my own piss or something like that. I don't know what I was doing. I didn't own a TV. I was just like broke and just trying to make it on the streets of Santa Monica Boulevard, literally. So any of that stuff. That's why I'm kind of like so drawn back to that era, like 2005. Obviously my band is after 2005, whatever. Can't compete with Drive Shaft, no way. But like Twilight, all that stuff like that. I missed out on it. Like the Black Parade album by My Chemical Romance, which is like my favorite band ever. Missed out on it because I just was, I don't know, I was in La La Land. I didn't have money. I was out of my mind in those years. So if you have any other suggestions for shows between 2004 and 2014 that you're like, you need to watch this, let me know. Someone did tell me my babe over there, Saeed, was on Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. I think he plays Jafar. Sign me up for that all day long, yes. But yeah, anybody else with these actors in it, I love them. So let me know if they've been in anything else. I really can't find. All I knew is that Daniel Day Kim was in Hawaii Five-0. I don't think that's something I can get into. I don't really like police shows that much. But then again, I don't really like survival shows, and I like Lost. So if there's something else like this that you think I would like, that you're like, this is the show, please let me know, because we are always looking for new shows to watch, especially because I got 3 months left of my pregnancy. So I want to get that. We have a few seasons left with this. But yeah, season 4 seems like, okay, they're off the island. They're all kind of depressed. I have read spoilers about them off the island, which doesn't really excite me that much, but hey, I'm going to watch it because I love the characters. I love the actors, all of them, and I'm really fascinated to know, because I do know that they end up time traveling. I know there's Men in Black coming in. I know Ben Linus goes back to the island and convinces them all to come back, and like, there's just a lot, and it just sounds so confusing to me. I'm so excited for season 6. I really want to I just want to see it all come to, like, I guess, like, wrap up. And I want to judge the finale for myself, because everyone's like, the ending was so awful. And obviously everyone said that about Game of Thrones too. And to be honest, like, yeah, the Game of Thrones ending wasn't, like, up to par with the rest of Game of Thrones. But, like, after so many seasons, like, how are you going to, like, outdo yourself? Like, you just can't. So that is my little thing. Charlie, oh my God, gone too soon in Lost. I should let's see. I have a fast reader. I can skim the rest of that article. I'm fascinated. He has a podcast called like, I think it's like the Friendship Onion or something, and it's a Lord of the Rings one. So I really wish he would do a Lost podcast. So part of me is doing this and thinking like maybe there'll be someone, because you know like that two kids from Glee, like I believe it was Jenna Ushkowitz, Tina, and the guy who played Kevin McHale, who played God, I don't even know his character name in the wheelchair. What was his name? Kevin McHale played Tina, and God, it's like on the tip of my tongue too. I hate when I don't remember. God, it was such a name too. Anyways, yeah, they did one about Glee, and like Real Housewives do one about Housewives. Brett Michaels, like Rock of Love girls, do like Podcast of Love or something. I don't know. I love when like people bring back like their characters. So like maybe Charlie, Dominic Monaghan, you know, if you're watching, maybe do a special Bloomin' Onion podcast about Lost. Like I just think it's so fat. I watched so many interviews hoping he'll mention it. He mostly mentions Lord of the Rings, which I get because that was massive. But so was Lost. So he has it in his bio of his Instagram. Someone says, you didn't give him the emotion of the moment. He's like, I did the day before. Jack, one of the producers, presented me with a paddle that had been made by the crew and cast and said a little speech about working with me on the show. Said some beautiful things, gave me the microphone, blah, 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 blah. And then he said he was emotional. And then I had to get my head down and get on with business, you know? Toughest part of shooting, he said it was the cold. If you're in a water for a couple hours, your body temperature starts to sink, especially when you're completely submerged in water. And I'd spend long periods of time in water. Do you think drowning was a good way for Charlie to die, or would you have preferred another way? He also said, I thought it was quite beautiful. At the end of last week's episode, I come out of the ocean into this moon pool thinking it's going to be flooded and I'm actually reborn again. Oh, I love that. And that really dictates Charlie's overall behavior in the finale. He now thinks that he has a second chance at life and he has nothing to lose. Moments before he realizes his fate, he actually thinks he's going to get out of it. He manages to flip the switch, turn the light off so the transmission can be heard, and he says, so much fate. That's what he said. He thinks he has beaten fate, and then the wheels come into motion, and fate, as usual, wins the day. Which is true. Once Charlie realizes that's the case, he totally makes his peace with it. He's not scared. He's not panicked. He knows it's supposed to happen. Gets the final message to Desmond, and then in a way you can be okay with drowning the way Charlie was. Do I feel by leaving the show that the show will be better? That's not going to be an easy place for me to take my head. I think we should let the viewers decide and see if it's good for the show and also the producers. Any desire to come back? He's like, not really a question for me. That would be a question for the executive producers. I don't have that luxury of hindsight. But they do flashbacks and stuff. So he might, halfway through season 4, we're going to bring him back in a flashback. That's awe-inspiring. I'd be all ears. Leaving the show. They asked him how he feels about leaving the show. He goes, it's a big cast and you don't work as much as you would like. You get bored, you get frustrated, you get lazy, and your work suffers. And there are other things out there. You can't afford to get too sentimental about anything. It's a job. It happens to be a great job in a great part of the world, but there are great jobs out there. There are projects out there in 2008. If I were to be working on Lost, I would go, I know that project is going to go on and I can't do it. So yeah, I guess he was okay with leaving. So yeah, they talk about him not getting a lot of screen time at the beginning. He says he tries to appeal to writers. He says he'll miss most about Lost the lifestyle, to wake up on a weekend and go for a run, swim in the sea and surf. He said he's aware of how lucky he's been. What we miss least, he said, driving to North Shore at 4 a.m. He lives the furthest point away. Favorite scene to shoot. Any last words? I'll link below this article so you guys can read it. I find it really interesting. I think that's really cool. In answer to his question, like, what does the viewers think that it was cool for me to leave the show at this time? And I say yes. As a viewer, as a fan now of Charlie on the show, I think a big, bold exit is great. Like, when you think of Desperate Housewives, everyone was shook when Nicolette Sheridan, like, I remember even not watching the show back then, and everyone was shook when Nicolette Sheridan was killed off. When we watched it, like, now in 2022, I was shook when she was killed off. Even though I knew it was coming, I was like, oh my God, they kill Edie that way, like a main character. I think whenever they kill a main character off, obviously there's some things behind the scenes. Nicolette Sheridan had issues with the executive producer of that, Mark Cherry. Sometimes there's issues, sometimes there's not. Obviously, he was like, it doesn't sound like he was wanting off the show, but at the same time, he's like, I'm cool with it because I want to work on other projects, which totally makes sense too. Yeah, I think if I was on a big show like this, I would be okay being killed off because that's like a big thing. It makes all the shocking moments list. As opposed to season 6, everyone obviously starts dying in season 6, and then everyone starts dying in season 6, and you're kind of not really, you're kind of like not really, oh wow, that happened, So yeah, I kind of agree with him. I think it's kind of, well, not that he said this, but I kind of think that, yeah, it was a good time for him to die. His character, I think he had a really cool ending, and I think it's a time when, like, again, you don't expect it. And I think that's pretty cool. Lost is brilliant on so many levels. I'm obsessed with it. I don't think I said I never really got into TV shows as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, and I just love them now. I think maybe because I'm like that right age range or something. I don't know. It's so good. Let me know again, like what you guys are obsessed with. I'm down to watch anything. If you're of the older generation, let me know a show you're obsessed with. I know like people like a generation older than me love like X-Files and stuff. Okay, I could get down to watching that, and I know like the younger generation loves like Euphoria. So I'm all about it. In my generation, I'm 34. What were we watching? What was I should be watching when I was like 18, 19? Like, again, I really like truly I like did not have a TV. Like I did not like I was not making any money. Like I don't even know. I was like sleep like literally just all over the place. And I can't even think like 2007, 2008, like what was the shows that were, he said 2008. This is like the time. What was happening then? I don't know. I'm so out of it, but yeah, Drive Shaft. You all, everybody. You all, everybody. It's so good. Such a great song. I love when they do like fictitious bands. I think that's amazing. I wish it was a real life thing. If I saw Drive Shaft, I would totally pay to go see them on tour. They were really cool. Charlie, you were amazing. R.A.P. Charlie and Lost. Oh my God. It was beautiful. You totally made season 3 the best season ever. Like that just ending of it all was just so beautiful. Jack could never with his lonely, miserable beard back on the real life, back in the LA world. I was just like, his part was kind of like bringing it down and kind of like, okay, we get it. You're off the island. You're depressed. But like, can we see what's happening on the island? Because there was a lot going on the island. Yeah, maybe I'll do another character deep dive. The other one that's going on me right now is Ben Linus, but played by Michael Emerson, who was, I believe, the only cast member to win an Emmy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was the only one to win an Emmy, which is crazy. Because when I first saw him in season 2, I was like, ew. He's annoying. I can't stand his face. Like everything about him was like, you know, and ultimately like he just kind of just won my heart as like this amazing character. He's an amazing villain. He's not like a threatening villain, but he's like he's scary because he's like manipulative and he's this, and he like kind of gets soft and then he turns evil, and he's just, I know, spoiler about him too, that he kills his own daughter. Like he lets his own daughter die in front of him. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Like he's just kind of ruthless, and he's just a villain, and his face is so interesting, the actor himself. And I know actors can't help their faces, but Michael Emerson and the guy who played Ethan and the others, their faces are just so interesting, which I guess is why they're actors, which I think is cool. Like anybody can be an actor. He's brilliant. I love his acting on there. I was like, God, he's so good. God, I love good actors. I love people who are talented in the arts, because I love the arts. You guys know I freaking love Broadway. I love TV. I love singing. I love all that. And I do all that, but not good. I'm really just not good at it. So when I see people that are like brilliant, like really brilliant, like Broadway singers always blow my mind. I'm always like, wow, you're so good. But yeah, but TV actors, they're amazing because it's not easy. I've taken acting classes. I've tried to act on TV. Like it's so hard. So when people are just so good at it, you're just like, wow, I'm amazed. I'm always amazed by like smart people too. But I think because I wanted so badly to be in the entertainment field, which I'm kind of am, because I'm kind of doing, you know, thank God for social media where just like this kind of content flies. Not this content, but you know what I mean? My kind of content. I don't even know what that means. Gets me money some way. You know, it's cool. I can make a living being creative. I love that. But yeah, like acting and singing, that's, you know, that's an art form. That's something you craft and you hone. Some people are naturally gifted at it. I don't know. I think my snot bubbles are coming out, so that means it's time for me to go. I love you guys. Check out Lost on Hulu. I'm not sponsored. I don't think anyone really cares about this podcast, but I care so deeply about it. So if you have anything to contribute or chime into, please let me know, because again, I'm just a dumbass watching Lost. I really am not so versed in like philosophy and biblical and theology and conspiracies and all that stuff. So please educate me if I say something totally off base, but that's my interpretation. That was season 3. Charlie's death, and I'll see you guys in the next Lost podcast. I don't even know where we're gonna go from here, so that's it. You are everybody. You are everybody. And shout out to ABC Store for still carrying Lost merch 18 years later. Like they're like, we're not going anywhere. Although Make Dharma Initiative cases for iPhone 13. I have my Hurley one here off Redbubble, but they only go up to iPhone like 11, so they're probably like, okay, no one's buying this anymore. But anyways, just my suggestion. Love you guys. I'm going for real. Bye.